And good morning. It is 19 minutes after 8 o'clock, and joining us in studio this morning. In studio, that's awesome. We usually get a chance to talk to them on the phone, but we get to see their smiling faces here this morning. We have State Representatives Candy Spence-Ezell and Greg Nibert back with us. Good morning.
Good morning, Mike. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming in. Thanks for doing what you guys do. I say this every time. You guys really fight the good fight for us up there in Santa Fe, and I'm sure if anybody has experienced beating heads against brick walls, you two seem to be quite adept at that right now.
Well, we owe you a big apology because we were scheduled to be on your show on Thursday, which was the last day of the session.
But y'all guys were doing a marathon session.
Yeah.
Yes,
sir.
We started on Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock, and we rolled all the way through nonstop until Thursday at noon whenever we adjourned.
Wow.
So you actually could have tied in, and I was speaking on the House floor at 7 a.m. Thursday morning.
You should just put your phone on and set it on the banister that were on the podium there, and we would have just tuned in.
Yeah, that's right. You would have heard more about the election bill than you wanted to.
So, I mean, let's talk about that last session there. What was it? Just last minute stuff they're trying to go? Or was it that election bill that you guys were working on, or was it just trying to crowbar a bunch of last-minute stuff in?
Well, Thursday morning, we started off with a bunch of memorials, recognition stuff.
We did. We recognized Alonzo Baldonado for his service there whenever he announced that he was not going to seek re-election.
Okay.
There were several of those that came through, so it was just basically allowing certain people to make sure that they got into the chamber before we actually got started.
Gotcha.
So they recognized, I think there were 4 or 5 Democrats who will not be returning, and then some Republicans. So we spent Thursday morning, for a good chunk of Thursday morning and into the afternoon, just recognizing people.
Gotcha.
And it was actually, from our perspective, it was really good because it was taking time off the clock.
Sure.
So
you're like, hey, look, any more delays is better for us.
Exactly.
Anything we can say good about all these folks, the better. So
maybe we get some crock pot recipes we share here.
Yeah. It went on for several hours, and then in the afternoon, we were supposed to go to some committees, but that didn't happen. Judiciary didn't meet again. And so the committee process was all shut down. That afternoon, did we do any substantive bills?
There were a couple that came up. I just know that there was lots of questions regarding any bills that did come up on Wednesday afternoon. And then it was just keep rolling.
Sure.
Just keep rolling.
Where it really started getting interesting was toward the late evening hours. I think about 10 or 11 o'clock, if I recall, they brought up the Clean Fuels Act.
Okay.
Now, that was the bill that would have the effect of increasing your gasoline, price of gasoline and diesel 26 to 52 cents a gallon.
And Russia and Biden are already doing a good job of that already.
Yes,
we don't need more help.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, it's inched up without the Santa Fe having to do it. But that went on for 3 hours. That was a 3-hour debate, which is the maximum. And that took us into the wee hours of the morning. And ironically, that bill, when voted, came out 33 for, 33 against.
Wow.
It was tied.
It was that close.
Deadlocked, huh?
So it was a dead bill.
So it did not move.
And our concern,
which is a victory.
Which is a huge victory.
Yeah.
And you know what? The representative that brought this bill up, Secretary Kinney, was sitting right behind him the whole time, and I'm just sitting there shaking my head. And the question was asked to the representative, is this going to increase? Who is this going to harm the most? And he said, nobody. It's not going to harm anybody. And it's like, wait just a minute.
What crack are you smoking?
Exactly. Do they not realize what it's going to do to the price of diesel? And diesel is what runs tractors, and tractors is what produces food.
We have a lot of farm roads because we have a lot of trucks that do farm work on them.
That's exactly right. And the price of gasoline, how are you going to get to work? Well, wait just a minute here, folks. Whenever the vote did take place, I was relieved because it was a tie vote. But our worry after that was, okay, somebody can bring it up again because we had not rolled the clock and say, I would like to reconsider my vote.
Gotcha.
And we were worried about
So
that.
everyone's holding their breath like, please shut
Yeah.
up, please shut up, please
That's
shut up.
exactly right. Exactly right.
Well, and it kind of got crazy after that vote because I think they thought they had the votes to pass it.
Yeah.
And when it didn't pass, it kind of stunned them,
Let
the
the air out of the
leadership
sail.
on the Democrat side.
I'm curious. I want to, talking a little politics here. Is this an indicator of the talk? Because we've talked about, it's kind of a huge, several huge cracks in the Democrat Party right now in New Mexico. And is some of this stuff we're talking about some of the evidence of that, and seeing some of the tea leaves of the ancillary results of what's the fracturing that's kind of going on that side of the fence?
If we saw that consistently with things, I would say yes.
Okay.
But we really didn't see
There's
a
no pattern
consistent
or rhyme. Okay.
pattern of that. But what was interesting, and basically that bill was carried, the debate was carried by two representatives, Larry Scott from Lee County and Representative Townsend from Chavis and Eddy County. And those two held the floor for the entire 3 hours. Mm-hmm. And at the very end, this is just some of the political gamesmanship that goes on, but Representative Townsend put a call on the House, which meant everyone had to come into the chamber because people were sleeping in the lounge and elsewhere. Everybody had to come into the chamber, and after everybody came into the chamber, he then said, every one of us has to go home and face our constituents. We have to answer to them. We answer to the people that put us in this position to
Sure.
be their voice, and you are going to have to face them and tell them why the price of their gasoline has gone up 26 to 52 cents a gallon if you vote for this bill. And you could kind of see some of the representatives on the other side of the aisle. Finally, it starts registering what happened. And I think that Representative Townsend's statement kind of put a sense of reality into that bill.
Sure.
And when the vote was taken, it was 33 to 33. And I mean, you could have heard a pin drop.
Maybe we can get him to do that at the start of every session every day. Just come in and say, you're going to have to answer to the people that elected you here for every decision you make today. Think about that.
That's right.
But Mike, the thing that we like to point out, there are several Democrats that they like our cover that we give whenever they know it's going to be a hard bill whenever they go back home. But the Speaker of the House, who's not going to be there any longer, you know that.
Yes, he stepped down or retiring or whatever the term you want to call it.
But he has threatened his caucus members, if you don't vote the way we tell you to vote, we will make sure you're not reelected. Wait just a minute. If you cannot go up there and represent your constituents, why are you even up there?
Yeah.
It's not because of the pay, because we only get paid a per diem.
Yeah, and it's not
So I
because of
don't
the glory
understand
and the
this.
fame, is it either?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
You're right. And that's extortion, blackmail, whatever
It
you want to
is.
call it. That's any other circle, that's exactly what that is.
But we could see his caucus kind of getting, I'm going to use the word blown up, okay, because there were some people that were adamantly opposed to a lot of these bills that were coming up. And they really didn't mind that we were, taking up time on the clock.
Sure, stalling the,
Because it saved them from having to make these hard decisions.
That's the easy way out for them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you guys are like, I don't care if it's easy or hard for you, I just don't want it happening.
That's right.
And that voting bill was one of those bills.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that, maybe these are a shift in ideology a little bit. Maybe they're starting to slowly I've said this to you guys 100 times, get us back to middle at least.
Yeah, the pendulum.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Pendulum's always swinging. But that took us till about 1:30 or 2 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
and that was a tie vote. Then chaos reigned for a little while. Then they brought up it was a bill that the House had sent over to the Senate, which was a crime bill, and it was a crime bill of maybe 4 or 5 pages. The bill that came back to the House was literally a 1/4 inch thick.
They padded that sucker up, didn't they?
my gosh.
It was an
my gosh.
omnibus crime package.
Yep.
Not just the bill that we sent over that dealt with one sliver of an issue, but it came back being the crime package bill, and it had all these provisions in it that were in pieces of other bills that we had seen, but the Senate packaged it all together, and so it was this massive bill, and it was coming over on concurrence. Usually, concurrence takes all of about 2 minutes.
Not this one.
The bill gets announced. The representative recommends that we concur with the Senate amendments, and then you vote aye or nay, and it's over.
Gotcha.
It's usually a voice vote. Well, this bill was so big. Ryan Lane from the Farmington area, Aztec, San Juan County, he took the floor at about 2 o'clock, maybe a little after 2, and he debated that bill till
5 o'clock.
Nice.
5 o'clock.
Wow.
So that concurrence bill took another 3 hours off the clock. What was interesting, Rod Montoya, the Republican whip, came up to me and he said, "Greg, go get some sleep." When Ryan started, he said, "Go get some sleep." And
He's going to be there a while.
I said, "Why?" He said, "Because you're up next." And I said, "What do you mean I'm up next?"
You're part of the relay team here.
He said the voting bill's coming up next. You're on the voting bill. So I went up to somebody's office and slept on a couch for a few hours. And so Ryan took that bill to about 5 a.m. and that was voted on. And I think as a unanimous vote, we all voted for it, or it was substantially a unanimous vote.
But we had some questions that needed to be answered.
You
And Ryan
thoroughly investigated that bill and make sure it's what the people need.
And it was a much different bill than what we had sent over to the Senate.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those things did need to be fleshed out.
But this is the tactics. This is what you guys have to do to get good government done. And that's, I mean, it's sad, but that's what it is, you know?
Well,
you almost have to play these games to get what you know, when you're in a battle, when you're outnumbered, then you got to use other tactics to do it. And this is what was going on.
Well, in our case, it was basically to keep other what we'd consider bad bills from being brought up.
Yeah, this is great work. You know, it's addition by subtraction style thinking here. You know.
Well, Mike, even though we may be outnumbered, we do have people. We do work across the aisle. Whenever there is something that is of importance to both sides, and a case in point here, I serve on the House Agriculture, Water, I can't even remember. They have changed the name so many times, but it boils down to the House Ag Committee, because it is important, folks. We do have to have food to eat.
Everybody
and
likes
we do
food.
have limited resources as far as our water goes. And there was a push out there by one of the representatives from the northern part of the state to change the qualifications of the state engineer's office. And they wanted it where an attorney could be the state engineer. Well, wouldn't you have to go back and statutorily change that title, the office of the state engineer? Because an attorney, not necessarily, is an engineer.
Well, only if we can make engineers attorneys.
Exactly. I mean, the governor has appointed a new state engineer, and he is an engineer. But this would have allowed any attorney or anybody qualified to be the state engineer with no
experience
at all, or any
we got
training
enough of that around
exactly.
here. We need people that actually know what they're doing.
And come to find out, there was certain people up there in the legislature that wanted this position.
Oh.
So whenever I was visiting with some of the people that were currently working in the state engineer's office, I said, "How come you're not applying?" "Well, you have to intern for 4 years under an engineer before you can meet those qualifications to become the state engineer, or working for a surveyor, because that does.
Sure.
but
Actual experience doing these things.
Exactly.
Right. Yes.
You have to be an apprentice for 4 years before you do reach that level.
Weird that they want experienced people doing these things.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine that. So anyway, the first time the bill was brought up, the sponsor of the bill had an amendment. She presented that amendment the morning of the bill, and I said, no, sir, we cannot hear this. It has to be done 24 hours in advance for the public to receive notification.
Mm-hmm.
So we got that one stalled a while. Then we did some visiting with other people that were on the committee, and they could see the error of the ways of trying to get this done.
Sure.
So thank goodness that bill was stopped there in that committee.
Absolutely. I mean, it almost seems like you guys spend more time trying to get rid of the backdoor dealings than you actually get to doing legit bills, and you know what I mean?
And
like,
that's what a real bother to me.
Yeah.
Why are these back deals going on? We saw what happened with, I don't know, a certain representative that had embezzled all this money from the Albuquerque public school systems.
well,
And it was a backdoor deal that got it started.
I've been saying it. It's like, you guys want to know why New Mexico's last and everything and why we've been consistently. Look at our history. Look at it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, go to Lincoln, New Mexico, and go read all the signs there in the courthouse and all that. This state's been screwed up long before it was a state. They were doing shenanigans back then. It just carried on over to modern times here, and it's the way of the world. And yeah, that's where you guys spend half your day, is just trying to cut through that garbage to kind of be transparent with something and be answer to the people instead of the people that are in the corners making money off everybody else.
That's
Well,
right.
and like you point out, Mike, a lot of our time spent trying to keep things from moving, because there were 505 bills introduced in this 30-day session, and I guarantee you there were not 505 good ideas out there. It's just different ways
Sure.
of picking. As I say, every law we pass is less liberty that you have.
Gotcha.
Every dollar we take out of your pocket is less liberty that you have, because you get to choose how you spend your dollar.
Absolutely.
But when we take it, when the state takes it from you, you don't have that choice anymore. Somebody else is making the decision how that dollar gets spent.
Well, and it goes on not even just personal level, but even in bigger levels, like the gross receipts and stuff. Basically, they're collecting it all and saying, we'll tell you what you get.
That's right.
And you're like, wait
That's
a
right.
minute. And well, you see municipalities raise all kinds of flags about that one.
bet.
But
And
that's the
brought,
kind
and
of
brought
stuff,
a lawsuit.
yeah, that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. They time and time again, you fight one of those and get through it, but there's a list of 30 more right behind it that
That's
you got to
right.
equally do these same stupid, things that are common sense to most of us. Things you're like, well, of course you don't do it that way, because that's just, these folks like, no, it's the good old boy. We got it. That's how we do it.
The
It's the way it
secret
works.
handshake
Yeah.
club.
And next thing you know, people that, certain people start looking financially better or more powerful, and others are sitting on the sidelines wondering what happened. So that's kind of the world we live in New Mexico, and not just here, but other places too.
Well, and it's a real dichotomy between the metropolitan areas of the Rio Grande Valley and the rest of the state,
Sure.
rural New Mexico.
Sure.
And there's a big tug of war that goes on, because they think that to address the problems that they see in their community, they have to take these actions, and they don't realize how that impacts
Exactly.
smaller communities and how
And,
that.
and one thing that was brought up during this session, and I want you to help me talk about this, Greg, is allowing certain people to come back to work. We have paid to train our safety officers, because the pay scale is so low for certain positions here.
Sure.
They're going elsewhere after they're trained on New Mexico's dollar.
Absolutely.
So if we do have somebody that has retired, okay, they're going to have to their PERA account.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put it on hold. Let's allow them to come back to work for a certain amount of time, because that knowledge that they already have is crucial,
Absolutely.
especially in our rural areas. But then also we've seen what's going on in Albuquerque.
Right.
It's the highest crime that there is one of the highest crimes rates in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
And
And it's all these policies and everything has come out that are
That's right.
allowing this to really everyone turning their cheek or looking the other way on this.
And you know, the pay issue or bringing people back to work should be a good lesson to the state, because when I was on the county commission a decade ago, that was the issue that needed resolved, was the people double dipping. I think that was the term that was used.
That's
people
right.
were coming back to work and double dipping.
People are proud of doing it.
And so the reaction from the state level was, we're going to stop that. And what we did, and what we immediately saw at the county level, was we had all these retired deputies staffing the security at the courthouse. All of a sudden, because of the legislation, they had to get off the payroll, and because they were drawing their retirement, they couldn't afford to not have their retirement and then have their part-time security job. So they had to be let go, or they quit.
I mean, if they're working and they're working, what's the difference? You know, they did their 20 years or whatever, you know, as a retirement. Now they're saying, you know what? And that's not uncommon. How many retirees go and get another job after they retire? This one, they're using their experience. You pay them for it. Maybe, you know, that's. I mean, you can work out the semantics, but yeah, you don't want to just basically remove the entire workforce of a department because of double dipping. You know what I mean?
That's what's happened. We had Larry Barker investigate an abuse of the system that occurred in the Department of Transportation with a secretary who was retired on December 31st, and on January 2nd, she was hired to basically receive more money to do the same job and get both, and people thought that was a real problem. And so they looked into it. The state changed the rules, and then it affected every community, and then we couldn't hire retired deputies. It was felt first in law enforcement, and then later in the teaching ranks. And the teaching ranks are what brought this issue to a head this year. We need more teachers in the classrooms. And
Especially
so
whenever
it was low before COVID.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. And whenever the governor sends in National Guard to help out at schools, wait, what?
That's a scary image, isn't it? Even if it's for good and everything, it's just an image that you're like, if we're letting this happen, what's next? You know what I mean? That's that. I mean, and I'm not saying the Guard, they probably did an amazing job.
They
did
probably
everything.
did.
But it's a precedent that makes people a little nervous. It just does, you know?
So
it's one step from what's next.
That's right.
You know.
Well, we did give the teachers a raise.
Sure.
You saw that. The governor.
And that was a good thing. That was something that was probably long overdue for our teachers.
Well, maybe even more importantly, we raised the minimum level of, I think level 1 is minimum 50,000, and then level 2
so
60.
an entry level teacher could actually
Make a living,
support themselves on that thing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they got not only pay raises, they also got this big, fairly substantial step increase. So we're happy to provide that, although our dollars tomorrow are going to be worth less than they are today. So,
Mike,
how good is that raise going to be?
Exactly right. And Mike, every time I would stand up to debate on the House floor or even in committee, it's like, folks, we have the ability to use this money, but we need to use it wisely.
Sure.
Why are we trying to spend it all at once? Because this year our budget was, hold on to your horses, folks, $8.3 billion was our budget this year.
Wow.
And it's due mainly to the oil and gas production and to agriculture.
Absolutely. That's the thing, everyone. And I get what you're saying. It's like, it's good this year.
That's right.
But next year, there's no guarantee. And when, I don't know the numbers, but I think it's roughly, 30%, it's probably more than that, of the total state income is oil and gas.
It's over that now.
That's a big number and a volatile number.
It is
to rely on budgets and things. You know, you've got to, like you're saying, you got to say, all right, I understand we've got needs. Let's take care of those needs, but let's not spend it all and create the bridges to nowhere just because we can. Let's put it back in the reserves or whatever we got to do, because next 60-day session, it may not be high on the hog here. It may be slim pickings, and we're going to need that money that we just wasted on pork products last time to do here. That's kind of where you're thinking.
Well, I also serve on House Appropriations, and we have to meet a full week. I mean, we meet all year long, okay? But prior to the session, we're up there a full week. We start every morning at 8 o'clock, and we usually wind up at 6 o'clock in the evening, that whole week before the session starts, trying to make sure everything is going to work. We hear from all the... I guess the thing that I was most appalled about was the Department of Health. Dr. Scrace is head of the Department of Health.
We all know him now.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And I can't remember how... Those are lots of numbers ago. I can't remember how many different departments there are in the Department of Health, but some of those things were just way, way out there. And I voted no on doing the entire funding for the Department of Health.
Gotcha.
Because it would have incrementally increased year after year after year.
Gotcha.
And we can't afford to do that. Whenever we are trying to create different departments under one particular entity, how can we sustain that whenever there is no guarantee due to oil and gas, which I'm going to say the more left-leaning people want to do away with? How are they going to pay for it? It's dang sure not renewables that's going to pay for it.
We're going to start money tree farms.
Is that what it's going to be?
That's what we're going to do.
Dang, I wish we had thought about that.
Well, they think they have
Sell
them in
meat.
Santa Fe. Santa Fe thinks they have money trees. All they have to do is go out and pick the leaves off the
That's
tree.
right.
And they don't realize it came
Absolutely.
from the sweat and the hard work of people in southeast New Mexico.
But it's a good tactic on what they did, because right now everyone's like, yes, health department, COVID, we want to give them all the money. And so they're using that sympathy right now to take advantage of that. That's what that sounds like to me when I hear that. I don't know if I'm right or not, but that kind of...
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Dr. Scrace, after every department was talking, he would have to go back and give a synopsis on it. And it's just like, you need to be quiet, sir. Let's roll with this. And the chairman of the committee was kind of getting a little bit aggravated, too. So I think I had to vote no on it.
Yeah. I can see that.
My Dr. Scrace story that really made me upset the last week, on Tuesday, Dr. Scrace was an expert witness on one bill, and he was there on the House floor. And I saw him in the hallway after that bill passed or didn't pass, whatever happened to it. So I'm in the hallway, and I went up. I said, "Hey, Dr. Scrace, can we get rid of these stupid masks?" and he said, "Well, don't worry, it's coming. It's coming. I just can't tell you when right now." And I said, "Come on." I said, "We've been in this building with the same people for weeks on end.
It's all window
We've
dressing.
gone to several events where nobody had their mask on, elbow to elbow. I said, nobody's getting sick. Let's get rid of these masks." And he said, "It's coming, it's coming." I said, "Well, why don't we do it today?"
Yeah.
I said, "At least let us breathe the last 2 days in this
If we
roundhouse."
get sick,
California.
we're going to take it home. Who cares?
And he said, "Well, it's coming." Well, come to find out, he knew exactly when it was going to come, and it was going to come at the press conference following the legislative session when the governor, was there with Peter Worth and Brian
The hero
Ingoff,
comes in
and took her mask off and said, "Oh, this is no longer needed." Well, it was no longer needed 2 days before, or actually
But Mike,
30
the
days
reason,
before.
and the
but-
reason, in my opinion, that she did it when she did at our adjournment, she couldn't get any of her bills passed out, but she had to show the people that she
Something
did
that sound
something.
like she's the
So we're-
governor of all the people.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're taking the mask off.
Yeah, it was
Whoa.
disingenuous at best.
Well, I'm just going to point this out. People can do what they want with it. These same people that have been very not tough on crime for the last 3 years, all of a sudden got very tough on crime this year. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? You do your own math, but I just put
Do the figure.
I'll give you the numbers. You do the math there, but that's why.
Well, I'm back to the crime bill. All the stuff that came out of the House was greatly watered down on the crime stuff because the chair of Judiciary is one that does not want tougher crimes. And so the stuff that got out went to the Senate, watered down. The Senate's the one that restored the the tougher provisions, and that's what came back to the House on the omnibus package that we talked about earlier.
Gotcha. Yeah, you want to make a point there? There's something I want to talk about real quick, and we're running short on time, but let's get that point out real quick here.
Okay, this is not anything really to do with the legislature. I just think people need to be aware of what our federal government is doing.
Okay.
Okay. We received word on a Saturday that the U.S. Forest Service was going to fly the Gila National Forest over there, and they were going to kill cattle over there out of a helicopter.
We talked to, I heard about this
Yes.
little, this is a goat rope. Go ahead.
It's absolutely terrible. The Forest Service estimated there's about 150 what they were calling feral cows. The state laws state, no, we do not have feral cows in the state of New Mexico. They are called strays, and they do fall under the realm of the New Mexico Livestock Board.
Yeah.
Whenever we wrote this letter, I typed up the letter, got it sent off to the head of the U.S. Forest Service. Now, Randy, I can't remember his last name. Anyway, I do have copies of it. It was a great move by the House of Representatives because we had over 40 different members sign on to this saying, stop this. We needed to review it. We wanted more answers on why they were going to randomly fly and just kill cattle and leave them there in the forest.
That reeks of all kinds of just what the heck is going on. Yeah.
Especially when we can use them in feed people.
That's a commodity sitting down there.
That's
you
right.
know?
Think?
Yeah, exactly.
Can they read a brand from a helicopter? I don't think so. But to leave them there to rot whenever that meat
I'm sure that's
could be
good for
put
the
to-
environment too.
Well, yeah. Is that going to teach those wolves that are over there? The cows that they killed, they did not kill the calves because they couldn't see them.
Sure.
But those calves are now being, I don't know, supper for all those wolves that are over there.
You just made it into a petting zoo for these wolves. They just come and feed off the.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really.
So
bad,
anyway,
yeah.
The secretary is going to be coming into the state of New Mexico soon. Whenever that happens, we are going to be invited to this meeting
Okay.
to point out the error of their ways in violation of New Mexico livestock laws.
I would imagine you could even get people that normally aren't on your side. You know, like PETA.
Exactly.
Oh, they were. Yeah, they were.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
And I sent the letter, the copy of the letter also to Secretary Kinney with the Environment Department. If John Kerry is going to stand up and talk about the environment, what's happening over in the Ukraine right now, why aren't we doing something about it here? And this money to fund the shooting of those cattle over there came from a certain U.S. senator's from New Mexico's budget request.
Sure.
I am really bothered by that.
And for people that don't really know what we're talking about here, all I can tell you is if conservatives and PETA on the same side,
Yeah.
you know that's wrong.
That's exactly right.
That's all you need to know.
That's exactly right.
I mean, that's all. Real quick before we got out of time here, I want to, for you guys personally here, with redistricting and stuff, getting on ballots and stuff. Is there anything we can do to help out there? I know Greg just, because I'm in his district, asked me to get on the ballot. Is there anything we can do to help you guys make sure that you can continue to be on the ballots here for these redistricting, all the craziness that's going on with that?
Well, every representative has to get a certain number of petition or people to sign their petition who live in their district and are registered with their party, and to get on the ballot. We'll be turning those in a week from today, which is the filing day for people desiring to run for elective office, and that'll be done a week from today. So we'll have our signatures by that point,
Okay.
and we will know whether we have enough or
Okay.
not. And
I just didn't know if there's any help we can give you or tell people where to go to get signed up or
just give us a call, and we'll be
Okay.
happy
We'll
to
be
get
call your
happy to
those
come
respective
by,
offices
yes.
and things. And
Offices.
Yeah, you're looking at us.
We're
I'm
right
at your
here.
ranch and your lawyer's office.
And it's going to be the way that they have split some of these districts up. It's unbelievable.
You know,
Unbelievable.
for Chaves County, there's some big changes with
is.
respect to the House districts.
I know we're all talking congressional districts, and that's crazy. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
the House and Senate are equally crazy.
Well, Randy Crowder's House district in Clovis now comes all the way to Tierra Brenda Creek. So Walmart, the mall are in his district that he lives in Clovis. Representative Anderson's district, which is 66, Representative Anderson now lives in District 59, my district, and his district is east of the railroad tracks and north of 2nd Street now.
Oh, wow.
I have everything west of the railroad tracks. I don't have any of Lincoln County anymore, so my district is very compact, basically a city of Roswell district.
Wow.
Representative Ezell's district has changed a little bit. She gets some good stuff where she grew up, which she's very happy about, I suppose.
Yes, I am.
Well, there is some good stuff out of this. There you go.
I did go back to the southern county line
Okay.
and picked up 2 of Representative Nibert's districts. But this,
Well, they'll be happy because they're still in good hands. So
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
good there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And-
it's going to be interesting to see whenever people go to vote. Where am I supposed to go to vote?
It's going to be very confusing.
It
we'll,
is.
We'll do our best to try
But
to
you know what?
clear it out.
We're not going to get ballots sent out just randomly to every
Oh,
household.
heck no.
No,
Thank
that
goodness.
was in that bill that we killed in the last hours that we were talking about.
Yeah, treating elections like Publishers Clearinghouse is not a good
No, it's
idea.
not a good thing.
You know, Mike, one thing that we made a big plea to the Redistricting Commission was to keep the Boot Hill of Chaves County in one of our districts, and that did not occur.
It didn't
It's
happen.
still in Representative Townsend's District 54, but you know, we made a big plea to the Redistricting Commission, but they keep chopping off the Boot Hill from Chaves County, and we're sorry that happened.
Yeah,
but-
they're adamant about separating them from the rest of the county.
That's
Yes,
right.
they are.
And just everything, you know, it
They
is
are.
kind of that way. So you're still part of us. We like you.
Yep.
Although, in all fairness, Representative Townsend's an excellent individual, so you are
He is.
getting well represented there, even if it's not by you,
Yeah.
you guys. Well, as always, appreciate the visit here. We got to get you back, and maybe now we're all sesh. We can get you guys in when you got some time. When some of this other stuff is, we can talk a little bit more about some of that other fun that happens.
Yeah, we could.
in the legislature here, and what's coming up, and all that good stuff.
Well, this will be an interesting year because of the tremendous turnover
Yeah.
and the change in leadership. There's going to be a substantial change in leadership.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we'll be having you guys on doing the campaigning side of things here too,
Okay.
as we get closer to all that good stuff. Which
Well, we would like that.
now the municipal election, once that's all over with, I think everyone's going to start turning their attention here to primary season here pretty quick.
Well, I know for a while after this particular election's over with, people don't want to hear from any politicians.
You know, I think we do. Y'all take a week or 2 off, and then come hit us after that. How about that?
Well, I have to go up to Washington D.C. to be at the Energy Council next Tuesday. So they won't hear from me for a week.
There we go.
I'll be
You're gonna take a
out of
week there, and
pocket.
then he's going to knock on your door right after that.
That's right.
Yep.
But again, all joking aside here, thank you both of you for everything you do for us here in Southeast New Mexico, and continue to do so. You know, whatever they throw at us here, I know both you guys will continue to represent the people of Southeast New Mexico.
Well, thank you for having us, and thank you for allowing us to be able to visit while we were in session. I think it's important.
And yeah, absolutely. And hopefully we can get some more. Hopefully maybe next year we'll try to, since it'll be a 60-day, maybe we can float around a little bit to get to work with you guys, schedule a little bit on some of that, and get where you guys aren't having to do it by candlelight at 6 in the morning, or all right, we got to hurry up because we got a session in an hour or whatever it is.
Well, lesson learned. I don't think we ought to plan on the Thursday of the closing.
Maybe some people wanted to poo-poo all over those plans.
Oh, yeah.
and
Take a different day.
again, Mike, please forgive us for
I
our
get it.
inability to be there.
Your day job was
Standing
way
him
more
up.
important there, right there. I just knew. I was like, well, they're not calling. They're probably bleary-eyed on the floor doing something related to the last hours of the session here. So
I was talking. It just wasn't to you. I'm sorry.
well, thank you guys. We'll see you next time. Okay?
Thank